Welcome to the Song of Fana podcast, where people from
You okay?
welcome to. I went from to. Welcome to the Song of Fana podcast, where people from different fandoms come together to share why they love what they love.
And sometimes hate what they hate.
I'm your host, Kaiser Brown, and of course, today I'm joined by
Sabrina. Ooh.
Yep, and today we'll be talking about the Justice League Christmas episode. Ooh, I forgot the name. Oh Lord. Oh, I wrote it down.
Noise.
Comfort and joy. Yay!
Woo.
Sabrina, it is the holiday season. It's been the holiday season for a second. Christmas is coming at a rapid pace.
Yeah.
Like December has been passed by so fast.
Don't even get me started.
Oh my gosh, no. How has your week been so far, though, at least?
It's been okay. I'll be honest and say I have not finished all my Christmas shopping. But it's not my fault, okay? My siblings are just so last minute. They just showed up 2 days ago and they were like, here's the list. And I was like, the list now? I thought I already got you guys. And now I'm like, no, I gotta handle this shit now.
OMG, what stuff do they ask for? Give me some tea. What?
So my siblings are into like different things. But like one of them's like, oh, I want this piece for my car. I'm like, bro, that's like $300. That ain't happening. Your Christmas budget? Well, he's broke. He wants me to buy his car part? No. And then the other brother was like, oh, I want this Spider-Man mask that has the eyes that move. And the only one I found that was legit was this gentleman who was making
Aren't
them
those
custom.
expensive too?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that one. Does he make videos of it?
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
But on the plus side, I don't know if you noticed anything different. I don't know if we got video or anything, but I got a nose ring now too.
Wow, you're such a rebel. Wow.
I know, I look
rebel
so
without a
cute.
cause. What's the story behind the nose ring?
So actually, it was my stepmom's birthday, and we're relatively really close. And she wanted to go and get a little like nostril stud, but she was scared to go alone. So she was like, "Sabrina, would you go with me?" And I was like, "Yes, I'll go with you." And we're getting there, and she's like, "I can't do this alone." And I was like, "Okay, I guess I'm getting a nose piercing.
What?
I don't want my septum."
You know what? Actually, it sounds like you were peer pressured into getting a nose.
Actually, I've been wanting one. I want a couple different piercings, but I was like, I've been looking for an excuse to get one. Why not?
So you use your stepmother as an excuse. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. So you two were like in it together.
Yep.
You were in it together. Both of you used each other, is what I'm hearing.
Yep.
But I see your siblings. Did you give your siblings a Christmas list? Are they lying to?
So my siblings are all younger than me, so I never give them a list because I'm their older sibling. I don't feel like I want them to buy for me. Like I asked for little handmade cards. Like my youngest brother, keep in mind they're not little. They're like my youngest brother's 18,
They're like,
but like in my mind they're still like kids. They
Mhm.
still live with my parents. So I'm like, you're kids. Don't worry about buying me anything. You're kids. And they won't
Interesting.
ever watch this podcast, so I'll say what I did get them. So I actually custom made them all sweatshirts. So, like, depending on what their interests
no,
were or what they
yeah.
did, I designed them. My brother, like I said, who's into cars, I made him a sweatshirt with his car on it, and he does custom parts, I guess you will, like maintenance and like basically the bits and bob tricks that people want on their cars, like headers. He changes the exhausts to make them louder. He helps with custom interiors, and he calls it Cora Performance is what his little company is called that he has for himself that isn't a company yet. So it's his car and it says Cora Performance. And it's in purple, which is his favorite color.
Podcast.
Yeah.
Don't agree. Don't agree.
Actually, yours is more like my other brother, Julian.
Really popular.
My brother, Julian, is actually a YouTuber, but he's not really popular. He is relatively small, but he does like a lot of like stereotypical early 2000s comedy content, like with friends, playing video games, doing goofy stuff. He doesn't harass the general public, thank God. So his is like, I did took his name of his YouTube channel and I made a cool design with it since all he has
I'm gonna
is
have to find a YouTube channel and just start leaving comments on the bottom of the comment section.
Oh gosh, no.
What? Uh,
Uh-huh.
and what about your sister? What's she into?
So my sister is actually a mom. She has a baby. And so
Mhm.
she likes when we were younger, we always joked about aliens and we made tinfoil hats one time. And I made a design and it's a spaceship and it says mothership, spawn point of Marilyn blank, my niece's name. And so yeah, it's like this cool
Mhm.
vintage alien looking spaceship, somebody getting transported to the ship.
Oh, that's so cute. Oh, that reminds me of The Sims. I
Yeah.
remember in The Sims, like, you could get, like,
Probed.
taken up by the aliens. And yeah, and the male Sims, sometimes they had a chance of being coming pregnant from the alien. Good times. I love The Sims. I started so much drama on that game. I never really asked my siblings for anything ever. We never really ask each other for anything. We just give stuff, I guess. It's not that we don't know, like, what each other are interested in, but when we ask each other, "What do we want for Christmas?" All of us are like, "I don't know. I don't know what I want.
So
Like, I don't know."
when they ask me, I'll give them something, but I usually try to not do anything, like, pricey. Like, Julian asked me, and I told him I wanted a $5 pack of pens, of rainbow colored pens, and I sent him a link for it, and then I said just, like, a plain, like, college rule black notebook, like, single subject, and that's all I asked for. So,
Mhm.
like, the total was gonna be, like, $7 maybe after tax, and he was like, "That's all you want?" And I was like, Yeah, I'm not highballing over here. You want $200 to $300 worth of stuff, but I need the stuff anyway,
Wish
technically."
I would ask for $200-300 worth of stuff on Christmas. I probably did that, like, once. I asked for a 3DS once on Christmas. That was pretty well, no, because
Well,
they were
I
probably on
don't ask
sale,
for,
but
like,
a
expensive
3DS
stuff.
XL.
Like, maybe, like,
Mhm.
cumulatively, because I make a pretty decent list and, like, my
Yeah,
parents, like, separate it from
same.
everybody. So, like, maybe the whole list would be,
Mhm,
like, $200 to $300, but, like,
mhm.
individually, like, I try to aim for stuff that's, like, reasonably priced. Unless it's, like, we get, like,
Same,
one, like,
same.
"big present," quote, unquote, and I try to keep that. I usually throw one item on there that's, like, maybe 50, $60. Like, this year, I asked for a cute little lamp, like, one of the ones that you can, like, tap and it turns on. Just so, like, at night, if I get up to go grab something, I can just click that on instead of having to turn all the lights on to make my way through my room so I don't trip on nothing.
I didn't really ask for anything this year. I'm just like, I didn't ask. I never thought to
You're like,
ask. I
"Cash,
never
please."
did anything.
Cash or card.
Cash, please. Well, yeah, yeah, cash or card, obviously, buy stuff from my store, go do that or something. But I didn't ask for anything. The older but when I was a kid, I never really asked for anything either. Like, never. Like, on Christmas, obviously, I'll have a Christmas list, but mine was just, like, filled with, like, video games,
Mhm.
mostly Pokemon, right? Uh, after the fact, because my first Pokemon game, I didn't even ask for that. I had Nintendo DS and my parents bought me Pokemon Platinum. Thank goodness they did, because then I discovered the world of Pokemon in video game form.
Yeah,
But, for the most part, every Christmas, it would just be, like, video games, because I never really asked for any, like, game systems. I had Nintendo DS, but I got that on my birthday,
yeah.
and we had a PlayStation 2, but we had that PlayStation 2 for years. It was the original PlayStation 2, the big bulky one,
Same.
and yeah, yeah, so, we would just ask for games on that sometimes, and stuff would accumulate, and so I'll have a few games. So I was into, like, a whole bunch of different games. Club Penguin, they had, like, Club Penguin games on DS. Sims 3, I got that on DS. The game bored the heck out of me after a little while because I ever told y'all this story? I would play The Sims 3 on the DS. My mom wouldn't let me get the actual Sims games on, like, console and stuff because it was T for teen. She wouldn't let me get that because my parents would actually pay attention to ratings on video games when I was younger.
Your pa
Sadly, right?
your parents were worrying about that, meanwhile, I was playing
I didn't care.
Grand Theft Auto on my little PlayStation
Right, that's
at,
the
like,
experience of most
age 6.
Grand Theft Auto and stuff like that, and whenever I had some of my little cousins playing games, I'm like, "Oh, that's T for teen, you're not a teenager yet," you know what I mean? That's rated M. Kid little cousins having, like, Call of Duty and stuff. That's not to say I never played rated M games before I turned, like, 17. I did. I never went out of my way to play, like, Call of Duty, especially because I wasn't into that stuff or anything, or play, like, Mortal Kombat or stuff like that. I would play it from time to time if, like, my cousin we were at my grandparents' house and we played a game like that or whatever. But, like, for the most part, I was just sticking in the T realm because I don't know. That's what some most of the best games are anyway. Final Fantasy, stuff like that. And
I don't know. I used to ask for
The
more
Incredible
practical stuff, like stuff that I needed at the time or I'd use, like notebooks, sketchbooks, pens. As I got older, I started to ask for like stuff like games. Like, I remember when I got,
Mhm.
Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess, that was, like, my jam. Like, I pulled up, like, on the computer, a guide, complete walkthrough, how to collect everything because I was a completionist, I had to have everything.
Mm.
And then my brother ruined my run, and then I was completely and utterly destroyed and could never go back.
I do
But
that with games with choices.
same.
Games like, I'm playing Marvel Midnight Suns right now, and I'm trying to get everybody's friendship level up because I wanna be friends with just about everybody. And I recently bought the DLC too, so I could have the full game because I got it on PS5. When it came on, like, PS4 and stuff,
Mhm.
a few months or so after, they put the whole complete thing together on there. But, when it came out on PS5, I just bought the base game. And so I bought the DLC and I started getting into it again. And I'm like, okay, I got to get these friendship levels up. I got to unlock these Midnight Sun costumes. Some friends I'm having taking more priority than others. The X-Men, any X-Men that's in that game, I'm gonna include Scarlet Witch in this, but she's an Avenger mostly. But she started off as an X-Men character and she plays a big role in like the X-Men world anyway, in the comics and stuff and animated shows and stuff. So her, Storm, who's a DLC character, Wolverine, and Magic are my priorities in that game, and Blade too. I love Blade. He's such an awesome character. So my black people and my mutants are my priorities in that game, and then everybody else comes secondary. Oh,
Don't tell Raiden. But that's what I'm doing right now on Ace Attorney. Like, I'm so afraid Imma mess up in a trial, so I'm basically cheating. I'm like,
you still on the first one?
yeah, technically. So, I haven't been able to play in a while,
Oh.
but what I do is, like, I'll make my decision, and then I'll be like, "Okay, let me just peep the guide just to make sure I'm not making the wrong decision."
I did that at the very end of the game when, because the last cases are very the last ones especially is, like, really long because it's the
Yeah.
extra case, and so when they put it on DS or whatever, they just made it longer because you want it to be worth the stuff
Mhm.
if it's an extra case, and so I was like, by the end of that case, I'm like, "Okay, let me just look here and just, like, start
So that was
because
the
I wanna
issue.
finish the game
I
today."
kept having to stop, like, as I was in the middle of days, so I would forget, like, what
Mhm.
evidence I had collected and all that stuff.
Mm.
So, by the time I would reach the actual trial, like, I was in court, I'd, like, forget everything I had, and, like, I was just like, "Nope, nope, I need
Mhm.
assistance, I need backup, and, like, and now, ASAP,"
Mhm.
like, yesterday.
The first Ace Attorney game is pretty easy anyway. Like most of the stuff is self-explanatory. Some stuff I was like, sometimes in the Ace Attorney game, some stuff come out of left field, and you like, how does that make sense? But it is what it is. That's the joy of those Ace Attorney games. I need to get back into. I need to play the second one and the third one. Plus, I got the great Ace Attorney games. I finished the first case on that one,
Mhm.
but I did not play anything after that, and I really enjoyed that first case despite it taking forever because I expected it to be like the first Ace Attorney game where it will just be a short case, and I'll be like, "Oh, it's a short case," and then I can come back. No, that was a long case. It was very long, and then I searched it up, and then I realized that most Ace Attorney games, besides the first game, the first cases are very long.
They christen you,
And it
okay?
just, and they just get longer from there. They just get longer from there. If you ever played any Ace Attorney games. But besides that, I actually watched a movie earlier today. You wanna know what
Mm.
movie it was?
Yes.
So Sailor Moon Cosmos came out on DVD, and it's not available in America. And while I was scrolling on YouTube because I was bored, because I finished my work that I need to finish to for that day. So I was just like, I'm gonna take a break and then work on some other stuff later. And I was taking my break and I was scrolling through YouTube and I saw that Sailor Moon Cosmos, somebody started doing a premiere on YouTube of the movie. So they downloaded the DVD and then started doing a premiere on the YouTube. And so on the YouTube, I sound like a old on YouTube. And so I just started watching it and I watched both movies. And I must say that I thought that they were enjoyable. They were enjoyable. That's what I'll say. The animation was like it looked good for a Toei movie. Now, don't get me wrong, but they don't really give Sailor Moon a budget like they used to.
Mhm.
Not that they had a huge budget in the 90s because it didn't. So they didn't ever really give Sailor Moon a huge budget because it was a long show. And when Crystal came out, it still was a wonky mess. But they fixed that in like the DVDs and stuff. And so it was fun. But I thought the first movie it's fun to watch as one full movie instead of just 2 movies, because when you
Mm.
watch it as one full movie, y you get a full experience. Because I felt like the beginning, like the first half of the first one was, very rushed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Warning fanatics! Spoilers for the new Sailor Moon Cosmos movies. If you don't want to hear them, skip to 1956 of the podcast episode.
Because they had to kill off characters. They had to start killing them off. If you ever read the last chapter, you know how Monica Magica, they just start killing off everybody one by one?
Spoiler.
Kinda, sorta. Or spoiler, that's what they do on the last arc of Sailor Moon. They start killing everybody
Mm.
one by one, one by one. So, like, by the end of the movie, the entire main cast is dead. So, like, surprise for those who ever watched the '90s anime. Like, yeah, everybody dies. You know, they come back to life at the very end, which they also do in Madoka Magica too in their own little way. But so it was just interesting seeing how some of it was just like really rushed. But it was also interesting coming from the manga because I didn't like the last arc in the manga because everybody was getting killed off. It was like whiplash because it was
Mhm.
happening like this. And I was like, wait a second, Mercury, Jupiter, they had no time to talk hardly after the first chapter because they were out of there. And Venus and Mars had things to do. The outer since she had a few things to do. In movies, they added a few scenes to give some characters more speaking roles and more moments. But still, like in the very beginning, it was like really rushed because I was so upset because everybody has their new transformations and they have their eternal uniforms, which are my favorites. Those are like the big puffy shoulder ones. You ever seen their eternal uniforms?
Mhm.
Those are my favorite ones, and they're like really shiny compared to the other ones too. And people complain how they all look the same, but I think those are the best looking uniforms. I mean, they all wear like the same shoes and stuff or whatever, but it's just like the effects, especially seeing it animated, it just looks really good. And when Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, Venus, and Sailor Moon transformed, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, and Venus, all their transformations will basically like splice together. So you will have, you know, how they do on the show when everybody transform and they don't show the full transformation for anybody, right?
Mhm.
And then they did that, and it made me upset because I wanna see those full transformation sequences, and then but I get why they did that to theirs because besides Sailor Moon, like, when you watch Sailor Moon Crystal, you notice, that they extended their transformations to be quite a bit longer. The timing of their transformations matches the time of Sailor Moon. When you watch the '90s anime, the transformations were, like, very short compared to Sailor Moon's transformations, like, obviously, just, like, they took a few seconds, they were there, and they kept those same transformations throughout the show. And for Crystal in the movies, they extend those transformations and make them about 30, 40 seconds, just like Sailor Moon's transformations are. So I get why you would, like, do that, but I'm like, I need you to release the full transformation somehow because you went and reanimated those and everything. You're not gonna give me the full transformation so I can see them transform in their eternal uniforms. Give me that. And then it got on my nerves because almost everybody besides the Doubters didn't get any transformation sequence, sorry to tell you. But every they still fought and were in their costumes, they just didn't get their sequences. Which is weird because the Outers compared to the Inners, in the Crystal series, their transformations are literally just like the exact same. So they're just as short. They just add lipstick at the end.
Yeah.
Other transformations. Well, they did that in the original too. So never mind. It's like they're just short as their '90s transformations, right?
Mhm.
So it really doesn't matter. I was just like splice those together and have fun. But they didn't do that. But Sailor Saturn had her moments. I'll say that she finally had her own attack animation. That was like it was cool, and they added some scenes in there that weren't in the manga, which was cool. And every character had a moment. I'll say that, but the beginning was just very rushed, and like when the inners died, it felt kind of anticlimactic compared to when the outers died. Because when the outers died, it was like, oh, because it took place it's a spoiler, I'm gonna give, like, a slight spoiler. The Outers died, like, in between the movies, and so the movies, when the Outers are last shown, they're fighting against Galaxia or whatever, and she's, like, taking them down or whatever, but they don't show that, right? They leave you up for suspense. Reading the manga, you know they did. But when they come into the second movie, in the beginning, when they go to each of their, like, castles or whatever, it reveal I'm just, like, spoiling it all, who
Yes, yes,
cares?
sure.
Spoiler alert. You find out that they're dead, and you just see, like, dust on the ground.
Yeah.
Like
Anyway, now to the Justice League. After spoiling the whole Sailor Moon movie that hasn't even made it to America yet.
I didn't spoil the whole thing. They added, like, new scenes in the ending too. I'm not gonna spoil that, but they added a new ending and everything. Besides the ending that's in the manga. Before the ending that's in the manga, they added a new ending because if you read the manga, 2 characters get married. On to Justice League, because I went on a whole tangent. Sabrina, what do you know about the Justice League cartoon?
I know my best friend would kill me for how much I don't know. She's a hardcore DC fan. Anything with Batman is her jam. That's her what she's a fan of, if you will.
I love Batman. We have a Batman episode. Listen to that with Jared White.
But my Batman, that's different from that Batman. My best friend is
Mm-hmm.
she's a fanatic. Anyway, so she loved the Justice League cartoon, as well as didn't they do, I think, like, another series recently within the last year or 2? It was another Justice League series, if I remember correctly. I can't remember.
A few years ago, they did in, like, 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah, Justice League Action. We talked
Yes.
about that on a previous episode.
Yes.
Mhm.
She was in love with that. But yeah, that's all I know is that Batman's in it. Like, before watching this, I knew it was, like, Batman, it was Wonder Woman, I knew it was gonna have The Flash, it was probably gonna have, more people in it, but those are just the ones that I, like, going in, like, blind before watching any of this episode, I knew.
It's basically everybody that's in the movies except Aquaman, in the main team, you know what I mean? Instead of Aquaman, you got Hawkgirl.
I didn't watch
So
that movie either.
and when I say basically the movies, it's like Justice League has, like, their core 7 members, right? So you have Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, some Green Lantern, doesn't matter which, some Flash, depending on which Flash you're talking about, and then a Martian Manhunter, and then Aquaman. In this one, Aquaman is in the show, but he's not a main cast member. So that's Hawkgirl, who's the main cast member. So you have 2 women on the team, and the Green Lantern that everybody likes, which is John, the black one. Because, people know Hal Jordan, Ryan Reynolds played him in that horrible Green Lantern movie. But the Green Lantern that everybody knows because they grew up watching the cartoon is usually John, who's, the black one. I don't wanna say the black one like that's his only trait, but
Yeah.
that's usually the one that everybody knows, and so when you see Hal Jordan and stuff, you're like, "Who's that?"
Mhm.
You know what I mean? If you grew up with the cartoon. When I saw Justice League, it's interesting because it was on at the same time. When it first premiered, of course, I didn't remember it like the original cartoon because it came out in 2001. I was 2 years old.
Yeah.
I wasn't watching. I probably was, but I wouldn't remember that, right? But I remember when Justice League Unlimited came on because by that point, I was old enough to remember what I was watching on TV for a long term. So Justice League Unlimited is the show that continues right after Justice League, and that's when they have all the different superheroes come in. Supergirl, Green Arrow, Black Canary, all of them
Mhm.
like join the team. It's just like really big, and you have these episodes, and it was really fun. And so that's the Justice League cartoon I grew up watching, which was Justice League Unlimited, which is literally just the same show with just a whole bunch more characters. And universe-wide storylines that don't just focus on the same 7. And so that was fun, and because I grew up watching a whole bunch of DC stuff, because at the same time I was watching Justice League Unlimited, I was watching Batman anime series and Superman anime series, and you know that all 3 of those shows take place in the same universe. In that universe, they still add new stuff to it every now and then. And so that's how I got into this show, and then eventually I started watching the original Justice League, when I saw that it had, like, this collection with Young Justice on DVD, so they did a few episodes of Young Justice and a few episodes of Justice League,
Mhm.
and a few episodes of Justice League Unlimited and put them all in this DVD box set. I bought it when I was, like, 11, and then I was, like, 11 or 12. I was in middle school, and I watched it, and that was my first time watching the precursor to Justice League Unlimited. And that was fun because I was like, "Oh, okay." So before they did Unlimited, where they had all these heroes, they had, a select group with the Trinity and the other 4. And so that's how I got into it. And so we picked this episode because I did a list of 55 different animated Christmas specials and movies. And then I did a randomizer to see which one would pop up. And this is the one that popped up. It was either this one or the Charlie Brown one. I forgot what it was called, but we did this one because you don't have Apple TV. And we want to be legal for this episode. At least for this episode, we want to watch the cartoon legally, maybe. If you did. Did you watch it on
Yes, I
Netflix? Tell the
did.
truth. Oh, okay. Darn it.
Yeah. I definitely watched it legally. Was it ahead of time and taking good notes? No, but I watched it.
I saw the episode today. I watched it
I
today
watched
too.
it
So
legit before we started recording.
but I seen the episode before, so I knew what it was about, I mean, because it's like a classic Christmas episode. It's just, like, filled with, like, cheer and friendship, maybe a little romance. So let's just get into it. Let's get into Justice League comfort and joy. So the episode starts off with a superhero superheroing, not with like action, but they're helping like some small alien race create like this gravitation device so their planet won't crash into another planet.
Mhm.
Which is that's kinda intense. So when you think about it, we're about to crash land into into another planet. We're about to die. We're
But
about to be
they play it
destroyed.
off so cutely though, because you just see the bunch of, like,
Mhm,
cute little blue aliens, almost, like, non-sentient, they're just sitting there making their little chirps, and then they're just calmly putting together this technical machine, everybody playing their
mhm.
part, helping out.
Yeah, and I'm just like, "Okay, everybody's about to die." I hope they were moving fast because I would my heart would've been racing. I'm like, "Get me out of here. Like, why am I sitting here? Why am I not on a spaceship?"
That's why Flash
You know
was
what I
working,
mean?
okay?
But
That's why
that's
he was
okay.
the one putting it all together.
That's true, that's true. So, the group was Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, Flash, and
Nice.
Superman. I put Hawkgirl twice in my notes. I don't know why I put Hawkgirl twice in my notes. The alien group, they're called Normitians or whatever, so they needed their help, and it was cute 'cause, they were just like this cute little alien race. It looked like a mix of
What?
I don't know. You ever seen that Scooby-Doo movie, Cyber Chase?
Yes, I loved that one.
Yeah, they look like mini green versions of that blue electrical monster, just like without the electricity.
If he met Have you ever seen it was in, like, the Star Wars movie, they have, like, the little penguin-looking things that they're, like, itty bitty. I don't know. My best friend has a mug of one, and I saw it and I was like, "Oh, that
Mhm,
looks like her mug."
mhm,
But they're blue,
mhm.
but they're blue.
After that, they all go their separate ways. Green Lantern goes his separate way, and Hawkgirl goes to leave with him. While Martian Manhunter, he says the holidays have no meaning to him, obviously, because he's not from Earth. So he's a Martian. They probably didn't celebrate Christmas. But Superman's like, you know what? I'm gonna do something about this. He didn't
Yeah.
say it like that, but they're
He's like, "I'm gonna bring you to my Christmas." He's like, "I'm gonna give you that all-American Christmas."
yeah. What True Justice in the American Way? I think they changed that. Superman's thing. I don't know what it is anymore. But it used to be True Justice in the American Way, and people were so proud of that. I'm like, that sounds messed up to me.
It does.
But it sounds kinda because you're saying Superman is like a hero for the world, but then he's just like, we're doing the American way." It's like, wait, shouldn't you be like accepting of everything? But that's not my point. I love Superman. That quote is just a little bit outdated to me, is what I'm trying to say. And so Green Lantern is snowboarding as Hawkgirl watches because we find out. I thought this was a sweet story that each winter his grandmother would take him sledding in a park. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And that's what made it so special to him. And Hawkgirl was like, she still, while that's sweet, she still doesn't get what's so special about Christmas. And so he starts creating like a snowman and then snow angels, and they start like this intense snow fight, which was really cute. You can tell like they were like really bonding. Um, meanwhile, Flash, of course, goes to the Central City orphanage. Central City is where his base of operations is. Batman has Gotham. Superman has Metropolis. Flash has Central City. I had to think for a second. What?
Fake fan.
And so he's going to the orphanage and asks the children there what they would like for Christmas. And so they want this toy of some duck called DJ Rubber Ducky.
Yeah.
Um,
Rapping rubber duck.
yeah, it was interesting because I don't know. Would you be interested in something like that as a
No.
kid? No.
I would not have been pleased. I would not. But there was, like, so it reminds me of, like, so nowadays everybody's like, "Oh, Cocoa Melon melts the kids' brains." That's what I feel like this
Mhm.
rubber duck was doing. I feel like it's like an evil ploy created by the government in capitalism to control the general public through their children. And that's what it was like, though. Like, he went to
Oh
all
my
these
god.
different stores, no
Yeah,
matter where he went,
he
there
did.
were no ducks.
And it was sold out.
And, like, people were
Mhm. And
angry and taking it out on the poor,
yeah,
like, service workers, like, retail
they were, like, cause he was running all like, there was a literal mob in front of the stores, and I'm like, "What's going on?"
Yeah,
That happens in real life, though,
it really
if you
does.
pay
I worked
attention
in
to
retail for a long time, and people get
Mhm,
so angry over, like, materialistic things, and it's like, how
mhm.
am I supposed to change that when it is not within my control?
Hey, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do about that? I can't do
Yeah.
anything. Like, call the factory. I don't know,
With
which is what he
yeah.
did. He ran to the factory, and apparently the toy that he got was the very last one that they made so far. I'm like, what is everybody going for the holidays? Because you seem like a company. I don't know. You seem like the type of company that will like keep workers there, like even on the holiday season. Because it was a Japanese company. Not saying I can't say I'm not saying something like that, but I'm saying
I think you say that because the main religion in Japan, which Christmas in reality is focused around Christianity, Christmas,
mhm.
Christ, and so it's also
Wait, what?
yeah. Actually, it's the capitalist holiday now, but it used to be about religion. And, in Japan, I wanna say that their main form of, religion is not Christianity, obviously. For them, it's more of
Yeah.
like a romantic holiday for, like, couples. Some families have taken on that tradition just because, obviously, like I said, Christmas is capitalist, so it's like the new
Mhm,
trend of capitalism. So people
mhm,
participate, however, it's not like how in America where it's technically like a bank holiday and businesses close and
mhm,
whatnot. The businesses are usually still open, I presume, and they probably have, like, maybe shortened hours to accommodate, like, the festivities just to keep their employees
yeah,
happy and
different.
work
I don't work
culture,
on Christmas.
but
Mhm.
aside from that, they probably it's not, like, as important as it is in, like, you would say, like, America.
I don't like working on Christmas, though. I remember because my dad was a police officer or
Mhm,
whatever, so a lot of times he would have to work on Christmas, and, like, we would have to sometimes open, like, gifts early on Christmas, like, late at Christmas Eve or whatever, or sometimes just open a gift wake up really early in the morning to open the gifts because he wanted to see us open our gifts, but he had to work that day too. I don't like when people have to work on Christmas. It just irks my nerves because when most people get off, why I get it because 'cause you're a police officer, 'cause stuff happens, like, people go crazy, but I pers personally, based on personal things that, it's kinda annoying. I don't
yeah.
like the idea that everybody has to work I mean, some people have to work. Anyways, Clark brings John home for Christmas, and he's very insistent like, he was very insistent on bringing Sean, and it's funny because his parents are very nice. Clark is a very nice character,
Yeah, that
for
was
the
my
most
favorite
part,
line though,
and
when, like, the Martian Manhunter, like, walks up to the door, he's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a Martian, I'm not really used to Christmas,"
mm.
and Miss Kent was just like, "It's okay, we're used to aliens around here," and just drags him
Right,
inside. It was
yes.
so cute.
Oh, and they mention, like, Kara, Supergirl, they mention her, like, she's going skiing with Barbara. Barbara is Batgirl, if anybody knows, Barbara Gordon, Batgirl,
Mhm,
Kara, Supergirl. I wanted to mention that because you know how a few last episode, X-Men Evolution that we
mhm,
talked about? How I love Girls' Night Out
mhm,
episodes. One of my very favorite Girls' Night Out episodes is the episode with Supergirl and Batgirl and Batman, the New Adventures animated series, where they do a crossover with those 2 shows, Superman and the Batman show. They do a crossover, and Batgirl and Supergirl are, like, having the whole Girls' Night Out thing, and it's just, like, female villains, female superheroes. I love me some girls. That's that
girl
and the episode was
power.
called Girls' Night yeah, the episode's called Girls' Night Out, so whenever I see an episode that's, like, focusing mainly on the women or whatever, I always call it a Girls' Night Out episode because of that episode.
Yeah,
It was really funny, but Clark's family loves him. They love Mom, Pa Kent loves John, but the cat does not. That cat was just being having a little attitude, but
mm.
cats usually do. They don't really like strangers.
Yeah, and
As
also, I'm
for
sure the cat could also pick up his, like, feeling of discomfort of, like, feeling out of place, because obviously at this time, like, he feels very disconnected
Mhm,
from Christmas and doesn't really understand where this I wouldn't call it unwarranted, what is it? Like, this reciprocity that they seem to have for him, like, having not known him and still having this generosity to, like, take him in and include him in this very
mhm,
important event for their family, in a sense.
yeah,
And it's, like, really cute
mhm.
though, like, they give him a sweater and everything, and he's like, "Oh, I'll grow into
Yeah.
it even though it's so big," and it was just so
Yeah, and he got
cute.
just super even more buff and muscular. I was like, "Dang, okay, I see you, Martian Manhunter. Wait a second."
Yeah.
But, it was funny. I found it funny when he shapeshifted. It's just like a funny thing because when he shapeshifted and when we skip into, like, the ending of the episode for the scene, but when he shifted and turned into that white man instead of walking around, I found that so jarring because usually whenever you watch, like, anything with Martian Manhunter, whenever he shapeshifts, he's like a black man. I found that really funny that that he shapeshifts into this white guy, and it's funny because he was walking around 'cause what I found super hilarious, first of all, from Mom, Pa Kent were talking about how whenever they wrap Clark's
Yeah, they have to
present,
wrap it in
they wrap
lead.
it in the man wrapper,
Yes.
so he won't be able to see it.
I know.
And I found that so funny, and so when he was going out throughout the house, like, sneaking around, like, in his, like, phasing form or whatever, and Clark was trying to look for the
Yes,
present,
he
and he
was.
was like, "Darn it, it's
Let
bad."
I was about to say, it's not even that they said it,
So
it's that they just
wholesome.
see the scene of him flipping through presents, and he's like, "Oh, lead."
Yes. It's so wholesome, like, you can tell he comes from a humble background, and I just found that so hilarious, but also with Green Lantern and Hawkgirl, what's funny about that, besides the snow fight, I just have to bring up where he did all the, like, hands that came up when she, like 'cause she took a whole pile of snow and just piled it on him, and then so what he did, he just had, like, a dozen or so hands come out from his ring and just start throwing
Yeah.
throwing a whole bunch of snowballs
Yeah.
at
I
her.
would've conceded too if I were her. She, like, concedes, and, he, like, tries to show her the bright side, but she still just doesn't get the joy of
Mhm.
Christmas, and so
Mhm.
she offers to extend, like, what her version of Christmas would be, which would've been, like, a victory banquet,
Mhm.
if you would, or, like, a celebration, and, that's when, obviously, she takes him to
Yeah,
that
sis
planet.
she takes him to the bar on some planet.
Yeah, the 4th moon of whatever.
She took him to, like, the Mega Quadrant, and that's the 3rd moon of Galtos.
Yeah.
See, because I took my notes, 3rd moon of Galtos, remember that.
Yeah.
Whenever you need to go in space and you need to find a good place to party, go to the 3rd moon of Galtos on
Yeah.
the Mega Quadrant.
Um,
You'll love it. It's great. Great drinks and everything,
I
but
wouldn't say that, they had worms
makes
in
me
them drinks, and
they
I
did.
will
She
say though,
enjoyed it.
the one thing it is good for is obviously a fight, because that's definitely what Hot
Yes.
Girl was looking for.
Yes, she said that because she was like, "Okay, now it's time." When she makes it there, because they're partying, the drink is called Plurb, and then she said to make the evening perfect, she takes her, hammer thing, I don't know what it's called,
Uh,
hits the, alien guy, gives it to John, and then points at him as if he did it, and then she starts a bar fight, and I was like, that's when you really know it's party time. You have to have your bar fight, and that was so hilarious.
My thing is, like, this whole fight happens, and of course, again, it fades to in and out of other scenes, but I like how the bar fight goes on, it's crazy, it's hectic, and she's just having a great time, and then at the end, when everything, like, settles, they're just legit cuddling with the very alien that just they
Yes,
try to
all 3 of
fight.
them are coloring together. In my notes, I put they all slept together.
They did not do
That was a
that,
joke,
but
but
they did all pass out comfortably
they
next to one
did.
another.
They did sleep together, they did, but I found that funny,
I thought it was cute how she
and
kissed him at the end and was kinda just like, "Merry
yeah,
Christmas, John." Like, "Aw."
she finally realized the spirit of Christmas after all the violence.
Yeah.
It was great, and with the Flash, the last story was with the Flash and him just we'll get to the last part of Martian Manhunt just after that, but because he was going around the whole city, and he finally, uh probably more than the whole city. He probably was going around the world, I
Yeah.
don't know. He finally found that duck, and because he, of course, went to the factory, they gave him the very last one, and so he ends up running into, the Ultra Humanite, right? Who's this big gorilla guy. Think whenever y'all think the Ultra Humanite, think Gorilla Grodd, but with a big brain.
Mhm.
'Cause it's basically what he is. Cause Gorilla Grodd always like, his brain is, like, physically showing. Cause Gorilla Grodd is also very smart. So this guy is just his brain is, like,
Mess.
it takes over his head. Oh, it's massive, and so he runs into him, and while he's fighting him, he ends up accidentally destroying the toy. And so, they end up having kinda like a debate with each other on, like, Christmas and goodwill and, good tidings to you and your friend, blah, 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 blah. And Flash is just so upset because he was like, "You know what?" Because he was trying to shoot him with a laser. He was trying to shoot Flash with a laser, and Flash ended up getting a few punches on him. He was like, "You know what? He was upset now. If you wanna hit me with the laser, go ahead and do it." And he didn't expect him to actually do it because he just took the back
Yeah.
of that thing and smacked him in the face
Pistol
and
whipped
knocked
him
him out.
like, "Peace."
And I get it because he hit you first, but Flash ends up waking up, and he ends up seeing the Ultra Humanite fixing a toy for him because he wanted to help the kids in the orphanage, which was so they had a temporary because I forgot about it. He was fighting him in the museum, and he started fighting the museum. He was taking out, like, the art in the museum because he thought that it was just, like, uncultured or
Yeah.
whatever,
And I think it's
which
important
was
to
hilarious.
mention too that part of their argument is that, of course, the Flash is like, "Oh, children just deserve joy." Meanwhile, in contrast, I don't that's a long name for this man, this gorilla dude. So I'm just gonna
Ultra
say
Humanite.
yes. he just basically is saying that it would be better to give children a book. It's better to educate them while they're yet, in a sense, untouched by the stains of humanity, which I
Mhm.
agree with, but maybe not on such an extreme level, obviously. But he makes the point that although he believes that obviously a book would be better, that they call their truce because he was touched by what the Flash said about how, like, it's more so the fact of bringing them joy when they're not necessarily in their best of circumstances, if you will. Obviously, it's a bunch of children in an
Mhm.
orphanage. There's a story behind that, that obviously we don't know. And so they make their truce and they go back to the orphanage once it's fixed. And of course, Flash is Santa Claus and he peer pressures his now companion into wearing a cute little hat and being his quote unquote snowman. And they bring the
Mhm.
DJ rubber duck to the children. And of course, they're excited.
Freakiest snowman.
But obviously, everything is not what it seems. The whole time, the Flash is worried it's a bomb, like it's just gonna explode on the children.
Right.
When in reality,
It's not gonna explode, right? It's not gonna
yeah,
explode, right?
that's legit what he says. But what ends up happening is when he goes to play the duck, instead of dancing and making noises, it instead starts telling the story of the Nutcracker, which combined both ideals, this idea of a more calm, like, educated culture with the enjoyment of childhood youth, which honestly, I think is, like, the best. And, of course, the
Mhm.
kids, they were like, "Man, this isn't our usual DJ Juck," but they liked it, like, they all ended up sitting down and enjoying the story of the Nutcracker, like, this classic Christmas tale. And that kinda ends up slowly wrapping up the Flash's story, and, of course, at this point, the Flash has to bring his companion back to jail where he belongs, but not without leaving him a gift,
Mhm.
obviously. He leaves him the aluminum
Yes.
Christmas tree and a light so that once he's gone, he can still enjoy the Christmas as, like, a gift for their truce and, in a sense, turning himself in. And it was, like, this really cute, wholesome
Mhm.
moment because obviously the villain doesn't wanna admit that he appreciates the gift, but once the Flash is gone, quote, unquote, "gone," we see, like, he's enjoying the tree. And then
Yeah.
we bring us, I guess, to our last little section of, the episode, finishing out the Martian Manhunter's little portion. He goes on his little soul-searching journey of, like, the meaning of Christmas. He sees Kent obviously searching through the tree and coming up unfruitful because of all the lead wrapping
Yeah.
paper. And he starts walking around the city, kinda starts hearing, like, I guess, what is, like, the bits of different people's lives during Christmas. He sees the couples, and he hears this little girl talking about how she's gonna prove that Santa Claus is real, and her brother's wrong.
Yeah.
And Martian
Oh, that
Manhunter
was so
actually,
sweet.
yeah, he climbs on the roof pretending to be Santa, and he reaches down the chimney and steals the cookies to, like, make her feel better.
And he purposely makes noises on top of the roof
Yeah, so she
and
hears him.
everything to make sure Santa Claus and that was so sweet. I found that so, so sweet, and
And
it
it
was
was
funny
cute.
because he was smart. He made because he could because I was thinking, I'm like, he coulda shapeshifted into Santa Claus and went down the chimney, but that kind probably would've been creepy because if the
Yeah.
mom and daddy her parents found out or something, and they saw him, they'll be like, "Some strange man is in our house." He just secretly just put his arm that stretched his arm all the way there, and then grabbed one of the cookies. Oh, it was so sweet. It was
Yeah.
so sweet, and right after that, he went to the church. I'm assuming it's a Catholic church.
Yeah, they have the stained glass.
Yeah, and they celebrating Jesus' birthday, and, they singing what were they singing?
I
What were
can't
they
remember
singing?
what they were singing, but it was, like,
Um,
definitely a hymn, like a little classic, like,
mhm.
Christmas hymn, like, singing, and then, of course, the episode kind of has him go back to the Kent home, and as everybody's waking up for Christmas morning, um, you know, Kent ends up bumping into his parents, and they say, "Oh, he said he didn't bring a gift," but they said the gift was him singing because he ends up singing the very same song that he heard at the church at the end.
Yes, and that was a true gift, and I liked his voice too. It was, like, alien-like, but I
I
liked it. I
know,
was like,
it
"Okay,
was
give me an
good. The
album."
only thing that kinda, like,
Mhm.
shook me was that he was naked.
When you're a shapeshifter, you're always naked, though.
Yeah, but I was just like, "Why
Aren't
is he
you?
naked holding the cat as the only
Mhm.
thing to cover himself humming Christmas music?"
'Cause I think that's the best part of being a shapeshifter. Not the naked part, but, like, you can shapeshift, like, all your body, so you can wear anything you want. And so he just went back into his natural form, holding the cat, being naked, living his best
I
life.
guess that was the
Being
point.
naked is not my best life.
So I guess the idea of that concept is that in a sense it's his rebirth into this new culture, this
Mhm.
idea of Christmas, which was I thought was really cute. I think their story is my favorite.
He was he was when he did that, he was being his full self, his whole self. So I found that to be an interesting idea. Just like he just went in his full on Martian form. He wasn't wearing his superhero costume. He wasn't pretending to be a human. He was just being himself. And that's when the cat liked him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was a cute
Overall, this
episode.
episode was very sweet. Should we rate this
I don't
episode?
think we should.
Yeah, let's rate it. How
Ugh.
many justice No, okay. Let's not rate it. Okay.
I was gonna say, I thought it
So,
was good.
it was just a cute episode. Yeah, I just thought it was a cute episode. It was fun. It brought in the Christmas feelings. Batman and Wonder Woman weren't in it, but if they were, you wouldn't be able to have these full-on stories focusing on the character because you'd have to remove some character somewhere, and some character had to play a smaller role.
Mhm.
So it was great. I liked it. I liked it. I liked it. So was this your first Justice League episode?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting because I found this episode interesting because this is the only episode in this show that's not at least a two-parter. Because the Justice League show, all the episodes are at least 2 or 3 parts.
Dang.
So this one episode was the only episode that wasn't a multi-parter episode, which was pretty fun.
It's perfect.
And it was cute, and I felt that it was like this perfect little episode to celebrate Christmas. It was good. So that's the episode of Justice League, guys. It was super fun. So Sabrina, I was thinking that for the end of this episode, we talk a little bit about some of our favorite holiday, maybe traditions or memories that we might have. Like any traditions or memories that you do every holiday, every Christmas, you do with your
So,
family or yourself, friends.
I was gonna say, Christmases are a bit odd just because my parents are divorced, so it's always been a little split up sometimes, just, like, going from house to house. However, like, something that's always, like, consistent, I think I've mentioned it before on the episode where you tried to roast me and get me canceled, but I'm actually a part Hispanic, I'm Cuban. And so every Christmas, we do Cuban food. Just due to circumstances, like, of the time, my family wasn't really allowed to celebrate their traditions when they first came to where we live, and as a result, it was very, like, dampened till the point when I was born and things, like, started to get better where my parents and grandparents lived, and so we started doing Thanksgiving, like an American holiday, if you will, was done as, like, American food, and then Christmas, since my grandmother is Catholic, and Cuban culture, we celebrate saints. San Lázaro is our saint. We do Cuban food on Christmas. And so that's like a big part of like, the holiday season. We do a lot of traditions. The only one we didn't keep is my great grandmother. They used to get a pig, and the kids would play with the pig. And then at the end of the day, they would, yeah,
Oh my
the
gosh,
pig.
no.
Yes, the men would send the pig to heaven, and then my great grandmother would cook the pig, and the head would go in the fridge and be pointed at
Did
the
they have
door.
kids feeding the pig?
Yes.
They have the kids stuff. See, no, my mom has a story how my great grandfather used to have like animals or whatever,
Mhm.
and he would always tell them, "Go feed the pig, go feed the chickens, go feed this, go feed that." And then one day they was trying to look for the pig, and the pig disappeared, and they was eating the food, and they realized that they were eating the pig.
Yeah.
Traumatizing my mom and her brother.
But so just to preface, like, my grandparents, before they came to America, they grew up in a part of Cuba that is, like, very agricultural. They grew up on a tobacco plantation, growing tobacco plants and raising pigs, and so it was just, like, a natural part of life for them. Like I said,
Yeah, and it makes
but obviously, as time passed, like, it'd be harder to get a real pig, and it was just cheaper to buy food from the store. But
makes total sense.
yeah, and also it's less traumatizing because obviously at this point, like I said, the culture's kind of been a little quiet over the last couple, up until me getting into adulthood. It would have been a little traumatizing for sure, and I'm sure the neighbors would not have liked it, again, because of the area where they live.
How'd they kill the pig? Do you know?
I don't know,
What
I
it
wasn't it was when my dad was, like, little, so it's been a good
mm,
bit since.
mm,
So my dad's a first generation American. But
mhm,
yeah, so aside from that, um I don't necessarily do much. Obviously, again, like I said, my relatives and my parents are religious, so we do the traditional like Christmas Eve service with candlelit
mhm,
service, and then the morning we do little family opening of presents and breakfast, and then we do all of our running for the day.
mhm.
But yeah, Christmases are just always eventful. Again, I have a big family, and definitely the theme and my family is like arguments. So it's funny. I don't ever get in the drama. I'm usually like just sitting there watching everything burn, eating my food, excited, for Cuban food. But
Yeah.
yeah. What about you?
So usually up until this year, so this year we're doing something different. We're doing something completely different, a trip or whatever. So we're not gonna even be here on Christmas. But usually we would like, cause we have both my grandparents, my dad's parents, and my mom's parents. So we will open presents at home. And then we'll go to my mom's parents' house and we open presents over there, spend time with family. And then we go to my dad's parents' house and then open presents and spend time with family. And then we stay there all night and then we go back home after that. And that was basically the same thing that we did for several years in a row.
Mhm.
But this year, my grandpa, my dad's dad, died. So
Mhm.
we're not doing that. My grandma, she doesn't want to be at home on her first Christmas being without him. So we're going out of state. We're doing something new. We're going to on a trip. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna see The Color Purple on Christmas Day.
That's awesome.
So that's gonna be cool. Yes. Is because this Color Purple is a musical. I love me some Black people love musicals anyway. That's the one thing that Black people will always do is sing. You ever seen that show Dear White People? Because they made a joke
I
on
have
there. They
not.
had the final season they did. You should watch it. It's really fun. It's really good. They did a joke on there on the last season, and it was like the two groups that always have some in common is the Black people and gay people because they always break out into song randomly. And it's true. So that's why we love the Black. And I can't get my words out. That's why we love Black people, and that's why we love gay people because we just love music and Black gay people. So if you Black and gay, you like ultra.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we love that. And so that's usually
Is
what
that
we
why the
do.
podcast is
Oh,
so good in our animation takeover? Because you're Black and I'm gay.
wait. Wait.
Anyway.
Oh my gosh.
Recover. But anyway, you're still recovering.
We're
The
very
buffer, the
queer over
buffer.
here. Yeah. But yeah, and
Can I
so
get
that
that as on a
that's
t-shirt?
basically what we do on Christmas. Huh, we're very queer over here?
No,
Buffer.
the Black and gay.
Wait, Black and gay?
Yeah, can we get a
We
shirt
always
where
break
it's
out
both of us?
Black and gay, we always break in song.
It's like both of us on the shirt, and it's like
Speaking of, do you ever spend time have you ever had a romantic Christmas once? I never had any romantic
No,
Christmases. Have you? No?
no. I live
You never see your I wanna say SO.
my
Is that a thing?
my
I
significant
wanna
other.
be fancy and say yeah, do you ever see your SO during Christmas? Do you ever see 'em?
No, I have not seen my significant other on Christmas. They just we both have complex lives, and
Mm,
as a result, we don't live near each other. And
yeah,
then they tend to be with their family for their own reasons, and I, again, with mine. Not that we
mhm,
don't do anything. We obviously do something for one another, but outside of that, we don't really celebrate together. But I'm not a big Christmas person that much either. As we talked about in the
yeah,
episode where you tried to cancel me, it's my least favorite holiday.
yeah. See, I'm gonna put a clip on our social media page of that clip where you said about the Santa Claus thing and Christmas.
What did I say about Santa Claus?
Mm. But Santa Claus is a Black man, so
I
we all
mean,
know
I'm up
that.
for
You
that.
ever heard that song? You ever heard that song?
No.
Santa Claus is a Black man? Oh, yeah. I assume you probably didn't. Search up that song. It's a classic song in Black culture. Santa Claus is a Black man.
I'll take it.
Santa Claus is a Black man. It's an actual song. There's this little girl singing how Santa Claus is a Black man.
I'm be
But
surprised.
yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I'm gonna play that at the end of this episode. That's gonna be the episode, the end of play the music at the end. Santa Claus is a Black man. So I would say you're about to hear that play. But it was great talking about this episode. This episode was a shorter one compared to our other episodes. But it's really fun to have a moment to just talk about, to celebrate the holiday. Whether you celebrate Christmas or not, you may celebrate something different. But funny how the holidays, like most of the holidays, I don't know if that's like a commercial thing, but they all usually take place in December too. I don't know.
I think it's because
I'm-
there's
I'm-
like one origin holiday from what is the original, like, whatever pagan Mesopotamian cultural religion base. And obviously as cultures expanded, they interconnected and took over each other's beliefs and altered them to fit whatever means of beliefs were of the time. And then we end up here and now, all in a sense separate and in different areas, but still celebrating similar holidays.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool that everybody, So, like, happy holidays, everyone. Whatever you celebrate, thank you for taking your time and listening to the So I'm a Fan of pod. Man, I was doing good. Thank you for listening to the So I'm a Fan of podcast. Bye. See everyone later.
Bye. One more episode.
Santa Claus is up.